It was a quiet Saturday morning in Rockford, Illinois, when the kind of tragedy that freezes hearts unfolded under the rising sun. The date was July 23rd, 2022, a day that began like any other but ended in unbearable loss. The victim was a 38-year-old woman named Ashley Hardin, a loving mother of three and a beacon of joy to everyone who knew her. Her laughter often filled rooms, her songs lifted spirits, and her compassion touched those around her. But behind that bright smile, she was unknowingly standing in the shadow of danger. That morning, she stepped outside her home after noticing a strange, suffocating scent of gasoline, unaware that it was the scent of betrayal and death closing in. Within moments, she disappeared, leaving behind a trail of fear and unanswered questions. A man who once promised to love her had turned into her greatest nightmare. His rage was cold, his intentions darker than anyone could imagine. Hours later, police in Roscoe, Illinois, responded to a distress call. Their search led them behind a business on East Rockton Road, where they discovered a horrifying scene: Ashley's lifeless body, hidden from the world she once brightened. Investigators immediately launched a manhunt for the suspect, determined to bring justice to the woman whose light had been cruelly extinguished. This is her story. Rockford, Illinois, a city that wears both beauty and danger like mismatched earrings. Beneath its quiet streets, sometimes tragedy blooms like a poisonous flower. And one summer morning in July 2022, that flower claimed the life of a woman whose heart beat for love, music, and kindness: Ashley Hardin. She was 38, a mother of three, a friend to many, and a woman whose smile could brighten even the gloomiest corner of Rockford. Her laughter had rhythm, her voice was melody. She wasn't famous, but to those who knew her, she was irreplaceable. The kind of soul that turned pain into encouragement. In one of her last videos, Ashley sang softly, "Thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me." Her tone carried peace, not knowing that death, dressed in familiar clothing, was already waiting on her doorstep. His name was Roscoe Smith, 46 years old, a man who bragged about transparency while living behind walls of deceit. He had a criminal record, a fiery temper, and a disturbing need for control. He said he warned Ashley about who he was, as if his confessions excused his cruelty. He called himself honest, but what is honesty without empathy? What is confession when followed by a bullet? Roscoe wasn't just her partner, he was her storm. She had opened her heart to him, even celebrated him publicly. "Happy birthday to you, my love," she wrote on Facebook, her words now hauntingly ironic, a love note to the man who would destroy her life. Behind closed doors, things were far from picture perfect. Ashley was trying to leave, tired of infidelity, of anger, of control. But leaving a controlling man is like trying to outrun a shadow. It always follows you. When Ashley decided to walk away, Roscoe decided she never would. His twisted logic told him if he couldn't have her, no one would. He hatched a horrifying plan to douse her home with gasoline and burn Ashley and her children alive. On July 23rd, 2022, that nightmare began to unfold. Ashley smelled gasoline outside her house, that sharp, suffocating scent of danger. Instinctively, she went to check. That single step toward the door became her final act of bravery. Moments later, she vanished. Hours later, the police received a call, a missing woman from Cold Avenue. At 7:35 a.m., officers from Roscoe Police Department discovered her body behind a business on East Rockton Road. Her killer didn't run. He went online. Yes, he live streamed his confession. With chilling calmness, Rayshawn stared into his camera and spoke as if explaining a bad day, not a murder. Quote, "People gon' call me crazier and wonder why I did what I did. Deception. Stop dealing in deception with people." He rambled about pastors and churches and betrayals, a man who blamed the world but never his own demons. It was irony in its cruelest form, a murderer preaching morality. When police arrested him, the evidence painted a picture darker than any words he could spew. In his car, a machete, zip ties, bullets, Ashley's phone and her medication. On her property, milk jugs filled with gasoline, some already poured. The reality was simple. He had prepared for her death. Rayshawn was charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, and unlawful restraint. In court, he looked unbothered, a man who thought his words made him wise when they only made him monstrous. He was sentenced to 60 years in prison, plus natural life for using a firearm, the maximum punishment possible. But fate, it seems, had its own verdict. Just months after his sentencing, on Christmas Day, the man who stole Ashley's life was found dead in his cell. The cause of death? Never disclosed. Irony wrapped in tragedy. The man who couldn't let go of control lost it all behind bars. The business where her body was found, Ecolab, refused to let her story fade into silence. Workers built a memorial bench engraved with her words: "Continue smiling, growing, loving, and showing respect." The bench sits quietly on Stonebridge Trail, where strangers rest and remember. Each passerby feels the weight of a story, a warning carved in peace. Ashley's best friend, Kyler Trujillo, still waits for a call that will never come. "I'm still waiting for her to call me back," she said tearfully. "That girl was my support system." Ashley Hardin was not just a victim. She was a mother, a friend, a light. Her death was not just a crime. It was a lesson in how love, when tangled with control, can become a weapon. Her voice may be gone, but her song remains. A whisper in the wind, reminding women everywhere to see the red flags before they turn into bloodstains. May Ashley's memory be a blessing. May her story ignite awareness, not fear. And may her spirit remind the world that even in death, kindness echoes louder than cruelty.